Mic check.
Yeah.
Right, that should be on. Check, check, check. One.
Okay. And
This is Alex Summerson, Star 98
okay.
in College Town. It's time for another episode of Osceola Meet and Greet.
Pre-game meet and greet.
Pre-game meet and greet.
Okay. And here's our now here's Aria Masudi. Am I tossing it to Aria again?
Yeah. Get ready, we got a great show. And now, let's go to the sports desk. Aria Masudi.
Okay.
Okay, we like it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why I can't see that. Okay.
Okay.
Figure it
Just
out.
let me know when you're ready. Great. Hey, it's Alex Summers from Star 98.9. We're live here at College Town with the Osceola on the deck of Tally and Finn, ready to celebrate another home game and get some insight from the guys from the Osceola. Of course, now we got to go to the sports desk with Aria Masudi.
Is my mic?
There?
Oh, there I am. I'm sorry. Slow starter, first quarter, not my best. Welcome to the Osceola pregame show here from Tally and Finn. We are so excited, those of you joining us on YouTube live here in College Town. Should be a fun night, by the way. Adam Doliak here, ready to do the Friday night block party and a concert coming up. Aria Masudi, Jerry Kutz. Guess who just joined us? We just bring mayors up on our show here. John Daly, welcome to the show. Mayor Daly, I guess to start off, this was a surprise. We did not expect to have him here. So I'm coming up with questions on the fly as we speak. But this type of season for Florida State's so instrumental to the economy of Tallahassee. For them to start the way they have, just what has it done to this local economy? Not just College Town, but Tallahassee as a whole.
Well, first of all, go Noles. I smell a victory for tomorrow. Hands down. Night game, packed stadium, you can't beat it. Now, look, we're a university town, and we've been named one of the top 10 university towns in the southeastern United States. Everybody knows Tallahassee is a great place to live, work, and play. There was a study that was done that came out not too long ago. 1 out of every 5 visitors that come to Tallahassee come from university sports, and the largest driver of our tourism industry is FSU football. And so we need to recognize that. We need to celebrate that. But let's make sure that everyone understands the positive economic impact that Florida State football has on the Tallahassee economy. Hey, look behind us. You know, the restaurants are full, the hotels are full, the shops, the stations. And so we appreciate everybody coming to town. As the mayor, I'd like to encourage everybody to spend a lot of money. But let's celebrate football and have a great time and a great weekend.
Jerry, I'm going to pass this mic to you because I know Blueprint has been something that's been important to this city, to your campaigning, to your tenure as mayor. And Jerry, I mean, this is going to be a big thing for Florida State going forward, having the support of this local economy to help put back into Doe Campbell.
Yeah, that's the big thing that, John and I are on the same page on this with, I had been involved at Seminole Boosters back years ago in the development of the Champions Club and the first modern renovation of Doak.
Right.
And the infrastructure is such a big factor.
Absolutely.
Listen, we got people in the crowd from Panama City,
there we go,
from Melbourne. They come up here and they spend 2 nights in a hotel. They spend a bunch of money in the economy, and it makes a difference whether that stadium has good restrooms,
that's right,
good concessions. All that matters.
And structurally sound. I mean, it is the same. I'm from Tallahassee, folks, and I can remember when I was 6 years old, I would fall asleep on my parents' lap during the fourth quarter during the night games. But it is the same structure as the original stadium. And so it's important. And the issue is that through a partnership, we were able to, through the city and the county, partner with the university to make sure and ensure that the stadium is structurally sound. We did the same thing with Bragg Stadium on FAMU's campus, and just proud to be a good partner. Again, we're a university town. Florida State does so much for our community, and it's important that when they need our assistance, we step up to the table.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to go to. Exactly. We got some applause in the background here. Florida State is a good partner.
Right.
I mean, they have been for years. I mean, whether it's the hospital and our School of Nursing, or any number of things. And can you talk about some of the ways that Florida State is a good partner for the city of Tallahassee?
Jerry, I'll give you the best example. I just came from the groundbreaking ceremony of the new College of Business that's going to be built right next to the Civic Center. It's I think $120 million facility. Of course, it puts people to work in construction, and it's long-term jobs with the university. Plus, it allows Florida State to continue to climb as a preeminent university, one of the best in the nation. But it's all about the investment in Tallahassee as well and the economic benefits. I mean, this weekend alone is estimated probably a $10 million positive impact to our local economy.
This one
football game with a sold-out stadium is probably about a $10 million economic impact.
Now, you multiply that times a factor of 6 or 7 games, and then graduation weekends are big weekends for the community. a lot of different events become huge economic drivers, do they not?
Absolutely. So when you take the entire football season, and let's add in the FAMU football season too, they got a good season going on. It's probably between an $80 and $100 million positive economic impact to Tallahassee. So when we talk about the investments that we made in the structures here, the one-time investment with an ROI of about $100 million annually, absolutely, that's a no-brainer for me. It was a great economic investment on behalf of the city and the county, and I'm proud to be part of it.
Hey, let me go a little granular with you, a little nitty gritty.
Sure.
Let's talk about the process of Blueprint.
Right.
I think one of the first things you guys required from Florida State was to do a very thorough study of what the needs were in terms of support structure,
right,
infrastructure, things that the average person who comes to a game will benefit from.
Absolutely. And the safety and the integrity of the structure itself.
Right.
Look, I really appreciate all that the boosters are doing. They're raising a lot of money to do more of the upgrades that we will see with the nice seats and all that. And that's very much needed, but that's not the role that we were asked to play. The role that we were asked to play was really for the structural integrity of the stadium. And like I said, I am proud to step up as the mayor and help lead the charge. It's the right investment. The return on the investment is second to none. And we're going to win some football games too.
Yeah, and that brings them back.
Yeah, it does. It really does. It's all about the collegiate experience, whether you're a graduate, whether you're a student, whether you're visiting our community. We want you to have the best time that you possibly can. And hey, let's face it, again, Tallahassee's named one of the top 10 university towns in the southeastern United States to live, work, and play and study. And we stand by that as well.
Well, I can't let you get away, John, without a prediction on the game tomorrow. And what your thoughts are. What does Florida State got to do? What are the keys to competing with the number 4 team in the country?
Well, I think that we're going to have the Florida State team that we all know that showed up to play LSU, that took it to them. We're going to give it the best. We're going to be disciplined on the field as well. But I tell you also what's really going to help push them over the edge is a packed, sold-out Joe Campbell Stadium that you'll be able to hear probably in Thomasville, Georgia. We're going to be so loud. And it's the home field advantage. I smell the victory. I'm saying by at least a touchdown.
At least a touchdown. I like it.
Touchdown.
He is the mayor of Tallahassee.
You heard that?
You've got to say that, but also we do like prediction.
Absolutely.
Both can be true. Best of luck with the rest of your tenure.
Thank
Continue.
You.
Best of luck as we get closer and closer to election time. But we're very excited for you,
you
as
guys
well,
are
and
great.
appreciate everything you've done for this city.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
Yep.
All right, we'll bring on Kurt Weiler now here on our Osceola pregame show as well.
I would call this a downgrade.
In terms of importance, certainly.
We care about your prediction. If you don't predict the Knowles victory, we don't want you on here, by the way.
I'll be right back.
And Gary's thirsty.
I may have to step off then. I'm not sure how I feel about this one, but it should be a good game.
Yeah, let's talk about this matchup because for Florida State, 4-2, 2 tough weeks in a row, Kurt, for the Seminoles where they've competed into the fourth quarter of both games. I think a lot of us felt last weekend FSU should have found a way to win that game, right? Deep into the game, they had the game, and they just couldn't finish. But that doesn't mean you don't have another opportunity coming up against these Clemson Tigers, a team that I think Florida State, when you look at the night games against the Tigers in Tallahassee, have been very competitive. They've come down to the wire. When you look at how FSU has progressed this season, where do you think they have to play well to be able to knock off Clemson?
I think the biggest thing is, a clean game would go a long way because you look at the last few weeks, they haven't been clean games, and yet they've been there with a chance to win both of them in the fourth quarter. You really felt that last week, but even that Wake Forest game, for as lopsided as that first half was for most of it, they're right there in a 7-point game in the fourth quarter. And if they get kind of one stop, they have a chance to go tie the game. So I think, a clean game with what we've seen from the offense, with what we've seen lately, I would say from the defense for the most part, I think it'll give you a chance.
I think, too, when we look at Jordan Travis and the way that he's played the last couple of weeks, it's been up and down. He's had some bright moments, but he's going to have to play his A game, I think, against the Tigers to be able for Florida State to win this game, quite frankly. Last week, we saw his legs start to get going a little bit. How do you feel like that's going to factor tomorrow?
I think it definitely could. I think, people have definitely been clamoring for wanting to see the mobility because we've seen it so much before. And it felt like Jordan somewhat has kind of had wanted to prove, like, I don't need to do that to be a successful quarterback. I think really the first few weeks of the season, he did that. So I think now, I mean, if you can kind of reach the mix of the two, I mean, it kind of is how you reach like being the peak of a college quarterback, the guys who can run, but who can also throw the ball really well, as Jordan has for most of this season.
Hey, let me chime in here on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
If Jordan's receivers, hey guys, how you doing? If Jordan's receivers catch the ball, I mean, he had 5 balls dropped on 3rd and 4th down conversions, 1 for a touchdown. I mean, if they just catch the ball, his numbers are really good. I think sometimes we think that Jordan didn't have a great night that night, but these receivers had gone into that game with one of the best PFF ratings in college football, and they just didn't have a good night.
They didn't. I mean, that group has definitely exceeded our expectations through 5 games, and that was kind of all of our fears about that group and kind of the inconsistency we might see. All of them kind of had a bad night at once, and I mean, it made the offense, I mean, pretty hard to operate. But like you said, I mean, they were, I think, the best PFF receiving grade in the country through 5 games. So. I mean, it feels like that bounce back from that group as much as from Jordan is really, I mean, it was one of my keys to victory in our story on the website.
Yeah, and so much of sport, I'm thinking as a golfer, that it's tempo. And when you throw a nice pass and it gets dropped, and it's now you're punting and you're going to the sidelines, it disrupts tempo. And so we haven't had that problem earlier in the season, but we had it at NC State. Now, I got to tell you all, and those of you who have been there know what I'm going to say, that is a very difficult venue. And I think our fan base can make Doak a difficult venue in the same light. Hey, I'm looking at the wife of our first editor, Steve Ellis. Sharon, good to see you.
I think, too, as we get forward to looking at Knowles and the Tigers here, Florida State's got to be able to run the ball, at least somewhat, against this Clemson front that, by the way, last week got Xavier Thomas back. They have Brian Bresci available here, and it's one of the best D-lines in the country. It's going to be the best D-line FSU faces all year long, and they're stuffing people right now. They are top 5 in the country in rush defense. The Seminoles, they don't have to necessarily run for 200 yards tomorrow, Kurt, but they've got to be able to give themselves a shot so that Jordan Travis isn't in 3rd and 7 or 3rd and long too many times in the night.
Yeah, that's not going to be probably a recipe for success. I mean, weird things can happen. Florida State had a decent amount of success like against LSU in those tough 3rd down situations, but I mean, against defense like this, yeah, it's staying in front of the chains, being able to have some semblance of the run. I mean, that's something Mike Norvell's been pretty good at, is scheming runs, even in 2020, 2021, when the talent was still building up. He was pretty good at it, kind of finding the run scheme to have success, and he has again this year. We'll see if they have Trayshawn Ward. I don't feel entirely optimistic from seeing him in the hospital on Monday, but the news was, I know, good from Mike Norvell of him avoiding surgery, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, too, I think we just mentioned it a couple of minutes ago. Jordan Travis is going to be a key part of the run game. You've got to be able to extend the run game with the quarterback, too. Maybe you get the receivers involved in the run game and try and get sideline to sideline against that fast Clemson defense. But, Jerry, a question for you. Big fans of Johnny Wilson and Micah Pittman, the way that they've played this season. I know Wilson was a mixed bag last week. Pittman had a decent game. How are they going to have to be big against Clemson's secondary, which we both know has had some vulnerabilities at times this season?
Yeah, they got to get open and catch the ball when it's delivered. I think Johnny Wilson has some outstanding skill sets. We've got receivers that can make plays. They just have to make them. Ja'Kai Douglas is a possibility to be back this week.
Big.
And who knows? We may even see Winston Wright. So I think our receivers have to step up this week, because it's going to be very difficult to run on that Clemson unless, you force them out of the box with your receivers. I remember when Jimbo was a offensive coordinator, I was at a dinner one night with one of our former running backs, and he asked Jimbo, what's it going to take to get a running game again? And if you remember back then, we were struggling to run it. And Jimbo said, well, it's as easy as this and it's as difficult as this. Give me Peter Warwick on one side and Ron Dugan's on the other, and those linebackers will walk out of the box. You know? And so if our receivers will catch the ball, they're not going to be able to stack the box as much with their safeties as they otherwise would. Would you agree?
No, yeah. I mean, it like you said, you're not going to consistently. You might be able to hit some explosive runs. That's something Florida State's done this year. I mean, you saw it in the NC State game really every week, but it's not going to be a consistent thing. You're not going to be able to have a 80-yard drive that's predicated on a whole lot of the run. It's going to have to be passing so that you can run more, for sure. And that's, I mean, we've seen the receivers win one-on-ones well, and that hasn't happened a lot lately. They have, through 5 games, they had a bad game. I think the bounce back is important. You want to make sure that last week was an anomaly, not kind of the start of an unfortunate trend for the offense.
Yeah, too. I think we talk about the run game and different variations of it. The screen game Florida State runs in its passing attack can be an extension of the run game. When you find Pittman out there to Wilson, they tried that a couple times against NC State. It had limited success with the trips formation, but I think you're going to have to do a lot more of that this week against Clemson. On the other side, Clemson, let's talk about their offense a little bit. DJU, I struggle to say his last name, so I call him DJU. We're going to call him DJU. He has really stepped forward this year from the way he was playing a year ago. Clemson's offense last year was as bad as it's been in a decade. This year, it's not elite. It's still, though, taking a step forward. And I think you've got to give credit to the quarterback for the way he's played for the Tigers.
Yeah, I think just about every Clemson game I've been able to catch a bit of, they've talked about his weight loss. I think he played last year at about 260. I think he's down to about 235. I think he cut sweet snacks out, which I know is hard to do. It's not easy, but credit to him for doing that. And, they probably cut those out, too. I'm not even sure he's old enough for those legally.
It's water. This is water.
Oh, okay. But, yeah, no, I mean, there was definitely, I mean, the Clemson fan base, 100% coming into the year was like, how many games until our true freshman, Cade Klubnik, who came in over the summer and has been impressive, is the guy. I think that was the widely thought theory. And here we are, I mean, at the halfway point, and DJ's most definitely played well enough where he's not going to lose the job. It doesn't seem like it's going to be a repeat of a few years ago, and Trevor Lawrence kind of just took the job from Kelly Bryant just because he was better. Clemson's got a really good running back. I know Will Shipley. Their run game hasn't been as good as I thought it would be, especially with the offensive improvement as a whole. I think some offensive line has done better in pass protection, not as good in run blocking. And so that's interesting because, I mean, Florida State's, we'll see kind of the health of that unit, obviously. That'll make a big deal, especially a defensive tackle. But Florida State has some guys who couldn't make that run game stop and kind of make it the same where Clemson has to win through the air, and we'll see what they're able to do there.
Hey, listen, I'm speaking now on behalf of Mark Salva and Pat Burnham. And we Florida State fans know this very well. Your quarterback sometimes goes as your offensive line goes. And we've struggled with that in the past with an offensive line that was not able to protect the quarterback, not able to create a great run game. I think Clemson struggled with their offensive line last year. And I think that had a lot to do with how ineffective they were.
It was a mix of things. I mean, yes, the offensive line played a role. Their receivers were not nearly as good as you thought. I mean, for guys who were pretty highly recruited, weren't making plays. They're reminiscent of Florida State's receivers last year where they just lacked that ability at times. And so the offensive line is still not, I don't think, great, but it's definitely better. And that's, I mean, given DJ, I think it's Uiagalelei.
There you go.
Say that again. Please say that again.
Uiagalelei. I listened to enough podcasts talk about it, I think. But it will be, I mean, it won't be like last year where there were real concerns about, I think you're going to have to win that game more than maybe Clemson's offensive struggles giving it to you. Like last year almost happened when Florida State was up in the fourth quarter up there.
Yeah, I think he runs the ball as well back there. He's about 40 to 50 yards a game. He's done a nice job in the run game, but defensive line for Florida State, it's been bruised, it's been battered. Hopefully Jared Verse is a little bit more healthy than he was. You could see he was in pain against NC State a couple times.
He played over 40 snaps.
He did.
I would think he'll play plenty more.
To climb forward. Robert Cooper went down. I don't know what his status is going to be for this one. And Fabian Lovett, I know we've all been keeping our eye out on, is this the game that he can come back? We'll have to see against these Tigers. But it would help a ton if you could get them healthy. But some of the young guys have really started to impress too. Farmer's done a nice job. Briggs and Ray have done a nice job. And then the linebackers have started to take steps forward too with the way Kalen DeLoach and Tatum Bethune have played.
For sure. I think, I'll let Jerry talk about the linebackers. That's his group right there. But no, the defensive line, yeah, Josh Farmer's been really impressive. Patrick Payton's a guy you didn't talk about. He's at end, not at tackle, but he just is that guy who just seems to put himself around the ball. He's a lot of fun to watch, just how the natural playmaker he seems to be. It's kind of that intangible thing that can't be seen when you're recruiting a kid, But it's I think we'll see about Fabian. He's been getting closer. I think you saw him last week on the sidelines, not in the boot or on the cane anymore, but just in shoes. It seems like there are signs to think he'll be back sooner rather than later. Whether that's this week, I don't know, but it would be a huge deal for Florida State. Just have that disruptor against a Clemson offensive line that is better, but it's still not, I would say, an asset.
Right. If I've got to admit, I picked Clemson in this game in our predictions, and God, I hate to do that. And I would not have done that if Lovett was healthy. I think if we had Lovett and Cooper healthy and Verse healthy, we give Clemson all they want and then some. But when you're missing a dynamic defensive lineman like Lovett, it's a tall order. And that, if we were going to lose one guy, the guy you didn't want to lose was Travis, right? My second pick would probably be Lovett.
Yeah, quite possibly. I'd say probably Lovett or Jamie Robinson or maybe Robert Scott or Jared Verse. Those are like the guys in that conversation. But
and we lost them all at some point against NC State.
Yeah, I say Jamie, I don't think missed much time. But yeah, it has been that kind of season. I think some people would tell you they're still kind of paying the toll for that 2013 team when everything broke right injury-wise. You pretty much had everybody at your disposal.
Yeah, and going back, I'm showing my age here, but the good Bowden teams in 93, 99, and then, of course, Jimbo in 13, I think we started the same offensive line in the first game as we did in the last game.
When's the last time that happened here? I'm not sure it's happened in my time on the beat, and that's coming up on a decade.
Exactly. I think
no, yeah.
Yes.
Probably. Yeah, 13. And it's going to be interesting, I think, for Florida State. It's going to be tough at times, guys. There will be moments in this football game where the sledding is tough, and it's not going your way. Clemson's defense is going to make it hard on you. You're not going to be able to drive probably efficiently, right, from the 20 to the 20. It would help to create short fields if you can. Find a way to get a turnover. Find a way to make a big special teams play. Find a way to make sure that your offense has a shot at an explosive that can change the outcome of the game. Kurt, stay out of 3rd and long if you can. Try and win first down against NC State. That seemed to be a lot of the problem, was you were in 3rd and long far too often. And as good as Jordan Travis has played this year, as much as he's improved, he's still not a pocket passer that thrives in being able to thread a seam on 3rd and long.
No, I think another big thing is hit explosives. I talked earlier about how it's going to be have just a run-heavy, long drive against this defense. It's going to be hard to have a long play drive. This is not a defense that's going to have a lot of 12, 14 play touchdown drives. They're very so. And Florida State's very good at hitting explosive plays, and they've even kind of missed some that they had near chances to make other opportunities. But yeah, it's
come on in.
On those.
So big plays would be big. You remember last year the Lawrence Toafili play up there, the ridiculous play where he rolled on the defender, tiptoed the sideline for that long touchdown. I think they forced 3 turnovers up there last year too. That would be a big deal.
So I think it was on our site in a story this week about poise. We kind of lost our poise a little bit at NC State, I thought. And if you remember the Clemson game last year, Johnson, gets the touchdown, and he tosses the ball up in the air, and they flag him for a penalty. You remember that? In the fourth quarter, when we took the lead, Johnson scored the touchdown and got an unnecessary
the celebration
penalty. And then DJ Lundy has a hit on the sidelines, and they flag him for a late hit. And I thought we lost our poise there on that final drive. And that happened a little bit, I think, against NC State. And that can't happen. If we're going to beat Clemson, if we're down, we've got to maintain our poise.
People talk about controlling what you control. Coaches talk about controlling what's a huge thing they talk about. Something you can't control. It played a role on that drive. it played a role, I would say probably the last 2 weeks, is how the game is officiated. You cannot let that affect you because it hasn't gone in Florida State's favor the last 2 weeks. Not to say I don't think either of them were atrocious, but they were called more heavily on Florida State than on the other team, just in terms of yardage, number of penalties. That can't affect you in this game. You can't, I mean, obviously avoid those at all costs, but if you don't get a call or if you get a call you don't agree with, yeah, you've got to keep your poise.
Hey, let me interrupt the Clemson coverage here. We're going to come back to it in a minute, but we've got a big event going on down here tonight. You want to talk a little bit about the entertainer we've got tonight and what's going on with College Town? We're going to have the marching chiefs here. The cheerleaders will be here, and got two good acts coming up. Are you prepared to talk about it?
To be honest with you, I don't know either of these guys. I hate to say it.
Well,
but so I would not be the one for this. But Adam Doliak, if you like country music, this is your guy here tonight. They've done a great job with these Friday night block parties.
it's charting.
He's charting. There you go. Jerry, I think you're more prepared to talk about him than I am.
Yeah.
They always have a knack of doing this, of getting the guys who are on the rise.
Yeah, we had Jason Denard on here the first week, and it's just amazing. The guys, Georgia, Florida line. I mean, just a whole series, 5 or 6 different great acts. The girl who's performing tonight is a Florida State graduate, and so it's it's tied to FSU. And come on down and enjoy it. The crowd is building. It's going to be a lot of fun down here.
Kurt, I'm not going to ask you to chime in on this conversation, so let's talk about Clemson, Florida State a little bit more. Should be a big crowd here tomorrow night, 7:30. You got ABC, you got Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, and of course Holly Rowe here for the primetime coverage. It's going to be a lot of fun. It hasn't quite sold out yet, but we're expecting north of 70,000 in the stadium. I was actually told the reason it hadn't sold out was because Clemson returned a lot of their allotment, which is rare for the Tigers. They don't usually do that. So I don't know. That was the inside knowledge that I have on that. So they're trying to find ways to get more Noles butts and seats. If you haven't bought your tickets yet, find a way in the stadium tomorrow night, 7:30. Should be pretty good weather as well for the Noles and the Tigers. All right. Well, Kurt, give me 3 keys to the game between Florida State and Clemson.
I can use 2. I talked about earlier. I talked in our story on the website. I think the receiver bounce back, we've talked about it, but receiver and Jordan Travis bounce back will be a necessary requirement to any chance of an upset. I think when you look at, if you can force turnovers like you did last year, but you forced 3 turnovers, I'm trying to remember how many you turned into points. I know obviously 7 on that Jermaine Johnson strip sack right away. That was the instant kind of, but yeah, that would be a big deal. Clemson hasn't turned it over a ton, and you haven't forced a ton, but there's part of that's inherently luck, and so maybe the balls bounce your way when they haven't lately. Ooh, he put me on the spot for a third one. I'm gonna say win special teams. Yeah. Ryan Fitzgerald didn't get his moment. Maybe he gets a moment in this one. You've done so well. Florida State's done so well in just about every special teams facet this year. Kick return, punt return, coverage units, I think, are among the best in the country. I think everyone always says it's the third phase, and it's 33% of the game, which isn't true in number of plays, but I think it can be in the tide of the game.
Yeah, I think tomorrow special teams is going to be a major factor. We talk about field position, making sure, points are going to be at a premium, I think, against Clemson's defense. So if you're in field goal range, Ryan Fitzgerald, I'm fascinated to see that dynamic of, does Mike Norvell play for trying to get 6 points, or does he go for the field goals depending on the situation and field position and where you're at?
I think that got a little blown out of proportion last week. I don't think the decision to be aggressive was entirely at all about lack of faith in Ryan Fitzgerald. I think it was more just there was time left on the clock. Just because you have that doesn't mean you settle for that. We can argue to death all the circumstances of that. But I think it'd be interesting. He has had a week to sit on a good game and some confidence. We talked to him this week about kind of some of the adjustments he's been going through. And Alex Mastromano too. If it's a field position game, he had that moment that will probably unfortunately go down in college football infamy for a bit, punting past the line of scrimmage last week. How does he bounce back if this turns into that game a lot of field position?
Yeah, and I think too, you don't want to get behind by too many points in this game. Obviously, that's like a duh statement, but you don't want to try and have to come from behind against Clemson. They play a certain way that allows them to be successful, and they rely on that defense, and they're very aggressive on third down. They like to blitz. Yeah. They like to get at you, and so that'll be a part of it. All right, well, Kurt, prediction for tomorrow, and then we'll sign off.
I said 24-23 Clemson on the website today. I picked, I think, a close loss last week as well. But I think this game is absolutely there for the taking. This Clemson team is good. This Clemson team is not the Clemson teams we've seen as when they're kind of in the dynasty run. It's not to say they can't get there again, but I don't think this team is on that level. I think they are beatable. They are exploitable. We've seen some issues with the secondary. I think they're a little healthier there than they were when Wake Forest really took advantage of that. But if you're able to give Jordan time, I think he can take advantage of that, hit some plays. I'm interested to see. I'm going to say Clemson close, and I would not mind being wrong.
I think I'm going to go 24-21 Florida State. Ryan Fitzgerald hits the game winner. Yeah. It just seems like this is where we've been headed, right? We've been headed towards Ryan Fitzgerald having to have his moment. That's how sports go. In basketball, guy misses a game-winning shot, you know he's going to have another chance pretty soon after. And I think it's his time. Ryan Fitzgerald's ready to, I think, silence some people. I'm not saying it's going to be from 50 yards. All I'm saying is I think we're going to have a nail-biter. Crowd's going to go crazy tomorrow night. You guys ready tomorrow, 7:30? Doak's got to be ready to rock. It's going to be a big one. Knowles and Tigers want to thank the mayor, Tallahassee, coming on our show. Jerry Cutts, as always. Kurt Weiler, I'm Mario Masudi. Thanks for watching here on YouTube. Come out to College Town. Come have a good night. Start your weekend off right. And thanks to Tally and Finn for joining us. We're signing off. See you guys.